Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in this beautiful, wonderful world, and welcome. This is my first official Bit Mogul masterclass this year, first and foremost. So, welcome in, guys. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Um, I'm going to be sharing some really, really powerful knowledge today, especially for those of you who would like to make money, who want to get involved, who want to be a part of this ecosystem that we call crypto and NFTs, which is basically run off a technology called blockchain technology. And this is what I want to talk about today, because I think by putting things into context, like the wider context as to why, cryptocurrency is becoming so popular, why NFTs are becoming popular and selling for millions of dollars. Like once you understand the why, then you'll understand the how, the what, the when, and the who. And you need these things to understand these things to make money. Knowledge is probably the biggest asset you can have because we live in the information age. It's knowledge and technology that's the value. This is why people who work in tech get paid hundreds of thousands of pounds, because it's valuable, right? So my goal for you today is to have a foundational knowledge. If you are either already in the industry or wanting to get into cryptos or NFTs, I think understanding the asset is probably the wisest thing you could do. And I say this to any investor. I mean, when you work in investment, and let me just introduce myself before I get into this. Welcome, guys. My name's Victoria Walker. It's actually Lady Victoria Walker. I'm also known as Lady Cryptoria. And so that is me. And I am a cryptocurrency investment analysis. I'm also the founder of the Bit Mogul Academy, which is relaunching and rebranding in 2022. And I was a former private banker. So this is kind of like what I used to do as a career. I used to analyze the market and basically help institutional investors, private banks, and high net worth individuals trade and buy and invest into cryptocurrencies and now NFTs, right? So I have a little bit of experience in this. I've been doing this for about 5 years now. I've watched the industry grow and will continue to watch it grow. And let me not forget, I am also the co-founder of Cax Intelligence, and we are a blockchain development company. We help entrepreneurs, companies, and businesses develop their business on the blockchain. And I keep talking about blockchain. What is blockchain? So blockchain is what we basically run cryptocurrency from. Just like we use social media, we use the internet, we use Facebook. Well, cryptocurrencies run off a technology like the internet called blockchain. And I'm going to go into this so you guys understand this technology, why it matters, why it makes a difference in the world, why investors are pumping in. Well, we've got like $1 trillion, I think, in the market cap. Why is so much money going into this space? Why is so much people coming into this cryptocurrency space? And is it a get rich quick scheme? No, it's a get rich long scheme. And you do this by understanding the assets, what to buy. A lot of people, hopefully you're not one of them, and if you're one of my students you won't be, but a lot of people lack the ability to really understand what they're doing. So somebody can come up and say, oh, well, do this and buy this and do this, but when you have the understanding, you can make informed decisions, which means you're less likely to lose, you're more likely to win. In the game of risk, because everything's risk, right? There's no guarantees in anything. Everything's a risk. So in the game of risk, you want to win more than you lose. And naturally, when you're learning anything new, you're going to lose. But the way to sort of short circuit that is to get advice, is to learn, and is to know what you're doing. So that's what I'm going to be showing you guys in this group, and helping people really get it. So I'm just going to do my normal sound check. So bear with me because I want to make sure you guys can hear me, and welcome in. Oh, yeah, we're there. So welcome everyone in who is watching live. And if you are on the replay, #replay, please. Right. So let's just talk about what is a blockchain from well, not even what is a blockchain. There's kind of three crucial things you need to understand before you start investing into these assets. There's a couple of things that you need to understand, because whenever you're analyzing an opportunity in the cryptocurrency space, you need to understand the project and why it matters. So I'm going to show you the basis of all projects, which is the blockchain. And I'm just going to share my screen with you. So bear with me and I will get that up, because I've got a really cool little presentation for you guys. And I'm really sure this will really help you understand the why, right? That's what we want to do. We want to know the why. So three things you should understand about blockchain technology. And that's me at the bottom, guys. And if there's any questions, please leave them to the end and I will get to them, okay? And if you see this on maybe a replay, feel free to drop me a message or drop me a chat. So the first thing I want to talk about today is, first and foremost, I did introduce myself, but I will do it again. I'm a former private banker, investment analyst turned bit mogul, and I've been working in the blockchain and cryptocurrency space for the past 5 years. And I've seen a lot of people succeed, and I've seen a lot of people fail due to how they approach and understand cryptocurrencies. Now, guys, I'm going to say this, like, at the moment, we're seeing Bitcoin, like we're seeing a massive, like, so this is January 9th, and I'll just give you guys an insight into what I'm talking about. But we've seen cryptocurrency literally, like, we're just seeing it take a big dive. And for those of us who've been in the industry for a while, we've seen this happen several times. I mean, I've been in Bitcoin where it's gone up to 20 grand and dropped down to 3, right? Back in 2018. So we've seen this, and then I've seen it shoot up to back to 50,000. So I think people that are in the industry know, but those who are new, this is a very scary moment. And there's a lot of panic selling and a lot of people who are like literally cashing out, when the real G's in this game, we're all like buying at this minute because we understand how markets move. And it's with that kind of added knowledge that you're able to take advantage. Sorry, guys. Take advantage of the market. Right. I want to just share my screen again. 1 second. I want to show you guys something. So for those of you who are not buying Bitcoin yet, or not holding, or if you have bought Bitcoin, I'm just going to just give you a couple of a bit of insight from a technical standpoint as to what's going on. So this chart here is showing you kind of like the price history, the price action, really from, say, last year. Right. So let's just look at from last year, 2021, we saw these big, massive moves. So, I mean, Bitcoin started the year off in the beginning of 2021, the end of 2021 at $18,000 a coin. Right. And then within that month, it just shoots right up to this, what we call, this is a resistance point now. So this was what we call the support and resistance in trading. So just some insight. So support level is this bar down here at the bottom, because this is where it finds support. It doesn't really go lower than this level here. So this is where buyers usually come in. The resistance level is where buying kind of, it holds. People aren't willing to spend more than that. So as a trader, you're always kind of looking at support and resistance lines as your kind of first indication. There's lots of technical ways of understanding how the market moves. I'm not getting into that on this call, but I'm just trying to show you just the basis of why you need to understand well, one, if you're investing, the technologies, but also the technical aspects of it, which is just price movement, people sentiment. So really, when you're looking at this, you want to be buying at these low points and then selling when it reaches those high points. So let's just say you bought Bitcoin in, let's say, last July, which was where it was at 29 grand. You bought here when it dipped down here, and then you sold when it hit nearly 69 grand. You would have made from one coin, that would have been your profit. So you would have made that, you'd have rolled that. I mean, obviously people hold and they're expecting it to go up here, and it will. But what I'm saying is that the whole art of making money is trading, buying low and selling high. And yeah, so people are getting panicky about Bitcoin, not realizing that this is what it does. And I can keep repeating this pattern. You'll see it if you go further into the chart, which even again, let me just bring this smaller. You can see this pattern, you know, again, they're bigger lows, but every time it bounces back, we have higher highs. So my expectation for this now, this is not again investment advice. This is just an analysis that I'm doing very quickly to help you guys understand how this will work. And obviously, I'm going to have this video. I could be completely wrong, but what I'm seeing is that Bitcoin is it's testing this support line. So can you guys see that this it's hit here around 40 grand before, but it's bounced back up and gone up to 69, 70 nearly. And then it's gone back to this support level here. So there's two things that are going to happen. It's either going to break past this resistance and drop down to this point, or it's going to break this level. It's not going to go past here. And then it's either going to stay around here or break past this 70 grand. So, you know, again, when you have these kind of insights and you have this understanding, you are better able to make choices and decisions as to how you're going to make money in the market, right? And this is why I tell you, knowledge, knowing what you're doing is probably the best investment. People think it's like, oh, I need to have this to be rich. You need skills. You need to learn skills. You need to master those skills. You need to do those skills every single day. Then you will make money. Okay. So anyway, going back to the presentation, because I really want you guys to understand the why is Bitcoin going up like that? Why did it even start like this? Like, why are we here? Why are NFTs popping? Why are people paying like, you know, $29 million for an NFT? Like, what's going on? And how can I get into that? So I'm just gonna again go back to the presentation. Let me not digress too much, right? So why the fourth industrial revolution could make you rich? Guys, you need to understand this is what we call an industrial revolution. Now, what is an industrial revolution? So an industrial revolution is a period of major industrialization. So we had the first industrial revolution like during the late 1700s when, you know, basically after slavery, they had to have machines, or machines were created to do the manufacturing and the output, because before that it was actually slavery. It was people that used to do the output, but then technology came in and we no longer needed people to basically do the labor. We had machinery. So the first industrial revolution came about in the mid 1700s. And this is where sort of manufacturing, the steam trains and engines and, you know, machinery came in, which basically meant they didn't need as many people to like be using hand labor. They could use these machines. So this was like when things really changed and when things became, you know, the great America and steam railroads, and goods were able to, you were able to transfer goods, and the world became really popular, like populous and rich. And in every industrial revolution, there's a transfer of wealth, right? Because what happens is that labor and outputs increase. So then there's more kind of like things to buy. More people have jobs that they're being paid for, and there's more economic like wealth going around. So the first industrial revolution was then. Then we moved to the second industrial revolution, which was where the technical revolution came in. So this is where we had TVs and, you know, cars, and the manufacturing journey kind of evolved into the industrialization and electronics and mass production and assembly lines. So the world's kind of what we knew, or what we know, like back in the day, to get a TV or to buy any type of electronic, you had to be rich. Like mobile phones, you know, were like for the super, super rich. Even though back in the 1930s, it wasn't really that. It was more like if you had a washing machine, you were like wealthy. If you had a TV. So then we move from that era to the third industrial revolution, which is the digital revolution, which is kind of like where we've been from the 1970s when, MasterCards came out, and it was the real boom of the tech space. Stocks and shares are really booming. This is like the yuppie era as well, where these are like young bankers going into New York and coming and making like $5 million a year. Like, this is the era, because now we go into like communications, information communications, and information technology, like Facebook. So this is like the third revolution where we're coming out of, because the peak of where we've been is like Facebook, social media, people amassing a major wealth. I know women that are doing $1 million a month just from selling courses and all sorts of things, all because it becomes easier for the distribution of, one, accessing customers, two, delivering your product, and three, reaching global audiences became a lot cheaper because of things like social media and because of technologies like this. So how does this all link into crypto and blockchain? So this is where the fourth industrial revolution is, where we're at this cusp. So we're kind of like this kind of transitional period. So think of like going from one era to the new era. It's like a whole new wave of technology. And so this is where we get the fourth industrial wave technologies. And blockchain is just one of these technologies. There are a number of them. So we've got AI, cloud computing, the Internet of Things, augmented reality, virtual reality, which is what the metaverse is being built on, big data, and blockchain. So you guys have to understand like what's happening in this whole situation with cryptocurrency becoming this, really like wowing thing, is because it's one of the first applications of one of the major fourth wave technologies of the future, right? So you sitting here now in 2022, 2030, the next 8 years is going to look so different. And let me tell you something. Those people, like, there's 200 billionaires on our planet as we speak, right? When Bitcoin hits, and not if, when Bitcoin hits 1 million coins, 1 million per coin, which it will, I predict, and I predicted years ago what was going to happen today did. But if it does, it will create 2,000 new billionaires. So even if you think you're just getting into this scene or you've been in it, this is really early days. Like, we're really in the early days of this fourth wave technology and revolution. So those of you who have been following the things that I've been saying in the past and now, what we're seeing is like this adoption, this major adoption, which most people will do. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm going to do this in a way that helps you understand the importance of this technology. And I'm only going to do it in a way that makes it simple to understand, okay? So I'm going to tell you, oh yeah, let me just remind you on this slide, like what I just said, we're at the cusp of the fourth wave industrial revolution. That's what I want to say. And when you understand the possibilities of what you can do, like the people that jumped onto like social media, the Mark Zuckerbergs, the people that jumped on the Instagrams, they saw that on top of the technology, there was another layer you could add, and they capitalized on it, and they made the next billion-dollar companies, right? So when you're investing into cryptocurrencies, you're basically investing into these new companies, the Googles of the blockchain era. You're investing into like, the Amazon that it was 10 years ago. So it's a very, very, very lucrative time because you're getting in at the early days. Just like if you got in at Bitcoin when it was as a pound, I started buying Bitcoin when it's $400, right? So again, it's like timing is everything in this game. And 2022 is probably one of the most richest timing to jump into this, right? But I have to show you why and how. This is going to be a little bit of like the basis, and then next Sunday, I'm going to kind of show you the applications and the kind of companies and the kind of projects you could look at. Again, this is not investment advice, guys. This is just purely for educational purposes, right? So let's just go into what blockchain technology is, right? And I'm going to do this in a story because I think this helped me make sense of it. So the story of the Morelands village. Once upon a time, there was a really small farming village called the Morelands, and the Morelands had 64 citizens around them from like 15 families. And these families would all do different things like farm, hunt, everyone produced their own goods. Everyone had their own thing that they did. Some people made rice, some people produced corn, some people produced potatoes, some people produced hunted for meat, some people fish, some people sew. So everyone had their own thing that they did in this community, and they would trade these items between them. So they didn't really need money. They would just trade them and barter, and everyone would be able to get what they needed because they had something to give, right? So sorry, I went the wrong way. So what happened is that the families trusted each other. This was like based on a trust protocol. And on some occasions, as I said, some people may not have something to trade. They may not have an item to exchange at that time. Maybe their crop hadn't come through. Maybe, they were just low that month, whatever reason. So in those cases, the family would trust or loan the goods to each other until they could pay for it, right? Or find their trade. So this was fine, but then eventually too many promises to pay were like just going around. There was just too many promises to pay. This person owed this person, that person owed this person. And there was no real order and structure to the system to keep a record of like all these kind of exchanges, these barters that people were doing, because they weren't using money, they were just bartering. So this caused a lot of confusion, and the villagers started to lose track of what was owed. So then they decided that, okay, why don't we get a solution to hire a ledger man? And this ledger man would basically be assigned to keep a record of all the items that have been exchanged to keep things fair. So it's like keeping a record, making sure that this record is accurate, and the community knows who owes what and who needs to get what, and everybody's clear. And it worked. There was now a system in place, and everybody trusted the records that this ledgerman created. So this was like the community ledgerman. But this is what happened. The ledgerman started to add in charges for this record keeping service, and he started to add in more and more charges. And then further down the line, he starts to accept bribes to wipe off debts. So people are making losses now, and there's like confusion going on, and this is because his record keeping lost integrity. Greed came in. When you have the power to do these things, then this is what happens. So the Morelands, there was lots of conflict. People could swear that they've given something to somebody, and now it's off the records, and a lot of chaos happened in the village. And then the villagers realized it was the ledger man that was doing this. So they now was just scrambling for solutions to figure out, like, how can we, the ledger system worked, having a record worked. It was a perfect solution. So how do we do it? And this is what they came up with. Instead of have one person having a ledger, everyone has a copy of the ledger. And so what the villagers would do is all the families would gather together at the village square throughout the day. And then at these gatherings, they would trade their goods, and everyone would keep track of every promise in their ledger. So everyone would keep a record. Then once a week, each villagers would read out another's ledger to check for discrepancies. So has somebody changed something? Is the amount right? Has it been altered? And because they all had the same record, if there were any sort of discrepancies, all they'd have to do is just cross-check every single ledger, and then pick the ones that were, so if let's just say 10 ledgers were accurate and 3 weren't, they would go with the record where the 10 were. That's how they were able to get trust and integrity without having to use a third party to manage their transactions and to manage their trade. And that's basically what blockchain and how blockchain works. Blockchain allows us to use a ledger system where everybody has a copy of that balance and record, right? So we can exchange and trade. Right now, we need a bank or we need a third party to keep our records and our exchange of value in one place and make sure it's managed, because we need that. Otherwise, it would be confusion. So the banks and these services, third-party services like mortgage brokers, like even like Uber, anywhere there's a middleman, we needed them. But blockchain technology allows us to have what we call distributed ledgers. And this technology allows people to have a record. So let's just say, we all are like the villagers. We can put on a blockchain records that everybody has, that nobody can alter and nobody can change. And we've created a protocol of trust between us. So if you have Bitcoin and you're a wallet holder, your wallet, in the back of your wallet, if you don't know this, holds every single transaction in that blockchain. And this is why Bitcoin is almost like it is a peer-to-peer bank. Bitcoin is the first, what we call, decentralized autonomous organization. It's a bank. It actually is the first bank without a bank. It's the first currency without the bank, because it runs off this distributed ledger technology that for the first time in history, we have been able to transact value peer-to-peer without a third-party institution. So that is basically the first part of this piece and this presentation around, like, okay, why these technologies important? Why are people buying these NFTs? I'm going to go into that next week and talk more about that. But I hope that gives you some basis as to why distribution ledgers are becoming more popular. And it's not just about removing middle people. These systems are mainly about making things more transparent, more fair, with more integrity, and allowing technology to replace where people can, human error can err. A banker can easily slip an extra zero into an account or make a trade and trade some money that nobody knows, and everybody's just confused and they're losing money. And, so this allows us to not have that. And this is why a lot of businesses and organizations, new technology companies, are creating these banks, these kind of systems, these businesses that are built on what we call the trust protocol. So it's all about trust, it's all about technology, and it's all about doing things on the internet in a way we've never done it before. So anyways, if you got any question, guys, please do feel free to leave a comment. Thank you for everybody who's joined and watched this whole thing. And I will be coming on again next Sunday. We'll be doing a new analysis on Bitcoin. As I said, I predict that it's probably going to drop a bit lower. And I think at that point, we'll see whether it's going to break past resistance or move to a lower support. But either way, we're going to make money from whatever way it moves. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining. And I look forward to seeing you again next Sunday, same time. Okay, bye.